How's everyone doing today?
Yep.
It's doing fantastic. Just want to make sure we're all, getting started properly. So I'm Adam, as you can see right here, spelled properly. I got my name right. So we're doing our presentation on proxemics. So to put it simply, proxemics is the study of how basically we use space. So if I am, say, over here, like really close to this table, hello, right up here, kind of awkward, ain't it? If I just sit the entire conversation, the entire presentation right here, right in front of this phone, little weird, kind of in your personal space, right? On the flip side, if I am all the way over here, right over here, by this window, look like I'm about to jump out of it, kind of can't even see me. You can't do anything with that. So it's very important that we use it properly. We have a very set amount of personal space, about here-ish. It's got to be a specific, of course, with it. It's kind of what they looked up and everything. But how we use that personal space and how we use other people's personal space is very, very important. If I am using all my personal space, doing this, a lot of hand gestures, really making myself, seem kind of dominant, again, it kind of goes back to everyone else's presentation today. Hate to do that, but it's very true. How we use that space for hand gestures, how we use our expressions for it, it really sets a point to who we are as a person. If we are taller, if we are bigger, larger, taking up more space, taking up more of our personal space, potentially taking up other people's personal space, it sets a precedent for who we are and what we mean to convey. So pass the baton, Dolores.
Oh, no, go back. Okay, so obviously we're talking about space. So the concept of proxemics refers to the different perception people have regarding physical space. It's also a cultural thing. It happens all around the world. Some it's different. If you break the rules and the barrier of that person, like it's perceived as threatening. So here's a picture of space,
Yes.
obviously. And we had the guy who came up with the theory of space was Edward T. Hall. Shout out to him. So intimate is physical, and it's like hugging, kissing, touching. I mean, come on, sex. Anyways, but yeah.
Otherwise, you're not doing it right.
Yeah. Yeah. So you usually do this with someone like you're very close to, like your parents, your spouse, maybe a close friend, but to nobody you don't know. I mean, that's gonna be weird. I mean, if I came up to like her and I didn't know her, she'd be like, "Okay, what are you doing? Like, get off of me." But if it was like my boyfriend, he'd be like, "All right, let's, All right. So personal space is like your own bubble. You have your own bubble. Like if I came up to her and I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" Like she'd be like, "Okay, you need to get off of me." Like all these words, I'm not gonna say them. But it's like from 1.5 to 4 feet. That's the distance of personal space. Like this is her personal space. If I get in her bubble, it's just gonna not be good. Social, right now, the space that we're using is a social space. It's usually used whenever you're going out, if you're like talking at the work job, like you have your social space with your boss. It's 4 to 12 feet, so that is the space that we're using for social. So right now it's like 4 to 12 feet, although like it might not be because this room's kind of tiny, but you know what I'm saying. Then we have public. Public is when you're like out in the mall, at the park, maybe at a concert. That is 12 to 25 feet. You really have like no contact with anyone. You're kind of just doing your own thing. And then I'm gonna pass this to Allison.
Okay, so I did proxemics in the workplace. And so though you may not realize that proxemics plays a huge role in the workplace, from when you're talking to your boss, to your coworkers, to a customer, you're always using proxemics. So open floor plans, I call them creative area or a chaotic one. So open floor plans were originally purposed to encourage teamwork and creativity. I chose this picture because no one looks as happy at work. If no one has teamwork like this. But in reality, open floor plans have caused a huge problem in the workplace because they're causing conflicts between coworkers who believe they're alpha, there's no space barriers. I mean, you can see in this picture, that chick's not happy in that corner. He's encroaching on her space. She's like, I know how to work this computer. But anyways, so there's 4 types of body language in the workplace. There's conservative, which is more a traditional and structured environment. Most all conversations are held at a table or over a desk, so prompts are a fixed variable. These are usually found in banks or legal offices and corporate headquarters. There is casual. It's a more modern environment and can have acquaintance-like relationships with coworkers, and conversations usually take place in the social spacing of 4 to 12 feet, like Dolores was saying. And those are usually found in small to medium-sized businesses, such as insurance offices or consulting firms. Then you have industrial, which a wide mix of proxemics are appropriate depending on the rank of the coworkers you're speaking to, and can range from the social to personal range of spacing. And then you have academic, which is what we're in, which is very similar to industrial, since there's a large range of appropriate spacing between professors, acquaintances, and friends, because clearly you're not going to stand in the personal space of your professor, but you can do that possibly with a friend. Hopefully you can do that with your friends.
Yes, I would hope so.
I would hope so. Okay, so meetings. Sit to impress. So where you sit depends on your rank, and don't make conflict on purpose. Just don't do it. Okay, so if you're leading the meeting or if you're the boss, then sit at the host seat. Don't sit over here on the left at the end. You're the least important member. You know. Also, try not to sit across from someone you don't like. That sets up, hey, I'm gonna try and confront you. I'm more important than you, so maybe back off. Okay, so how to sit. Posture is clearly important. Take the right amount of space. Don't sit with your elbows tucked into your sides. You're taking up as little space as possible. You look timid, you look afraid, but don't also be that person who, put my stuff all over the place and I'm more important. I want to draw attention to myself. And then if you should sit, don't sit in a meeting. If it's short, focus on making a decision. If you stand, it makes things more dominant, allowing you to put your opinion in more easily. It also encourages participants to focus on the issue and come to a conclusion in a more timely manner. Okay, now on to Megan for our experiment.
So we did conduct an experiment regarding proxemics, and what we did with that experiment is we actually went up to people and we kind of fronted it as a questionnaire about how they viewed the education system and what they thought of it when they were in it. I got some pretty interesting answers on that. But we would get closer and closer, and a lot of people kind of have this 2 to 3 feet personal space boundary when you're talking to them. So if I'm about right here with Allison, she's kind of going to be okay with that, going to be okay with me talking to them at this level. But what we would do is we had about 6 questions, and we would just get closer and closer to the person as we asked the question. And 8 out of 10 people did get uncomfortable with this as a rounded statistic. They did get kind of uncomfortable with that. But I found a lot of it when Alice and I were doing it, if I was smiling and if I was more happy and stuff, I could actually kind of wedge my way and get closer, and they kind of didn't even realize I was doing it. But if I was more just kind of asking the questions, they tended to get more uncomfortable quicker. And it was very interesting to see people's reactions, and there's actually people from different cultures and stuff. There's one guy who's from Egypt, I think, and he was actually, we were really surprised because he was leaned up against the one of the tables like this, and he was, we were crushing him, and he was totally okay with it, and we were that must be something in your culture, because over here,
it absolutely is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And he was really comfortable with it. He was just sitting there. He's like, yeah, when I was in school. And I was like, all right. And we did tell people we were doing an experiment. They kind of laughed and thought it was funny. But
Thank you.
yeah. But it was a really fun experiment. Overall, what we discovered was that proxemics does influence your life heavily. And it is quite a influential social aspect. And it does make people stop and think, especially in the workplace, as we just discussed. And so I really hope you enjoyed our presentation. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.